Have you ever been blamed for something you didn't even touch? Not once, not twice, but over and over again, until one day, it goes too far. That was me. And this story. This is the moment I stopped taking the fall for someone else's mistakes. When I first started my job, I was eager. New environment, new responsibilities. I was trying to prove myself. I said yes to everything. Extra tasks, tight deadlines, last-minute changes. You name it. At first, it felt like growth. But then, I started noticing a pattern. My boss, Carrie, on the surface, she was everything you'd expect. Confident in meetings, polished in presentations, always in control. At least, that's how it looked. But behind the scenes, things were very different. Carrie had a very specific way of working. She loved delegation, but not the normal kind. She didn't delegate evenly. She delegated strategically. Anything high profile, anything that would be seen by leadership, anything polished, impressive, and safe. She kept that for herself. But the messy stuff, the risky deadlines, the half-finished projects, the last-minute emergencies that needed fixing fast, those always landed on my desk. No contacts, no proper handover, just a quick message, and then silence. And here's the strange part. Every time something went wrong, Carrie would be unreachable. No replies, no calls answered. Nothing until the situation got serious. Then suddenly she'd reappear, calm, collected, in control, like she had nothing to do with the chaos. At first, I told myself, this is normal. You're new. This is how you learn. So I kept going, fixing things, covering gaps, taking responsibility, even when I shouldn't have. But deep down, something didn't sit right. It wasn't just bad luck. It was a pattern. And patterns don't lie. I started paying closer attention. Small details, timing, messages, who was responsible for what, and when. Not because I was planning anything, but because I was tired of feeling like something was off. What I didn't know at the time was that all of this, every late-night fix, every rushed task, every "can you handle this?" message was building up to something much bigger, something that would put me directly in the spotlight. And then, last Thursday happened. A major client presentation. High stakes, high visibility, the kind of meeting that could make or break reputations. The CEO was in the room. Leadership was watching. And everything went wrong. Slides were missing. Data was outdated. The entire presentation fell apart. Right there, in real time. And then Carrie turned to the room, looked straight ahead, and said the one thing that changed everything. "I'm sorry. My associate must have sent the wrong version. She meant me." In that moment, I wasn't just confused. I was being blamed. Publicly. For something I hadn't even touched. But what Carrie didn't realize was that this time I had something she didn't expect: proof. And what I did next. That's where the story really begins. If you think this ends here, you're wrong. Because this wasn't the first time I took the blame, but it was definitely the last. Stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how I turned this around without shouting, without arguing, and without saying a single word in that room. That moment. In the meeting, it felt like everything slowed down. You know that feeling, when everyone's eyes turn toward you, and you don't even understand why. That was me. I didn't argue. I didn't interrupt. I didn't defend myself. Not there. Not in that room. Because I knew something most people forget in moments like that: the louder you react, the less people listen. So I stayed quiet. Carrie continued speaking. Smooth, controlled, confident. Like she had already decided what the story was. And everyone else just needed to accept it. A few people nodded. Some looked confused. But no one questioned her. Why would they? She was the one in charge. The meeting wrapped up quickly after that. Not because things were resolved, but because everything had already fallen apart. The client was clearly frustrated. Leadership wasn't impressed. And I walked out of that room, carrying a mistake that wasn't mine. But here's the thing, I wasn't angry, not yet. I was focused, because something didn't add up. I hadn't touched a presentation, not once, earlier that week. I even offered to help. I remember it clearly. I asked, "Do you want me to review the deck?" And Carrie said, "I've got it totally under control." Her exact words. So how did my name end up attached to it? That question stayed in my head, and instead of letting it go, I decided to check. I went back to my desk, opened my laptop, and pulled up the project folder. Nothing dramatic, just curiosity. At first, everything looked normal. Files, versions, dates, the usual. But then, I started looking closer. File timestamps. Who edited what? When changes were made? And suddenly the story Carrie told in that meeting started falling apart. The version that was presented? It wasn't mine. Not even close. Different edits. Different timestamps. Different author history. And my name? Nowhere. That's when I realized something important. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't an accident. This was blame being redirected. I kept digging. Carefully. Quietly. Not rushing. Because when you're looking for the truth, details matter. And then I found it. A message. Buried in our Slack. Conversation. Simple. Short. Easy to miss. But powerful. It was from Carrie, earlier that week. Right after I offered to help, she wrote, "Don't worry about the presentation. I'll handle it." There it was. Clear, direct, undeniable. She told me not to touch it. And now, she had just told a room full of people that I messed it up. That's the moment everything shifted. Because now, I wasn't guessing anymore. I knew. And when you know the truth, you have two choices: stay quiet and let it go, or make sure the truth is seen. I didn't react immediately. I didn't send angry messages. I didn't confront her. Because this wasn't about winning an argument, this was about controlling the outcome. So instead of reacting, I started preparing, piece by piece, step by step. I gathered everything: the files, the versions, the timestamps, the messages. No assumptions, no emotions. Just facts. And slowly, what started as a bad meeting turned into something else entirely. Something much bigger. Because this wasn't just about one presentation anymore. This was about a pattern, a system, a way of working that had been hidden in plain sight. And for the first time, I had everything I needed to expose it. But how do you do that? Without making it look like retaliation? Without sounding defensive? Without risking your own position? That's where things get interesting, because what I did next wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic, but it changed everything. In the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how I turned a quiet investigation into something that leadership couldn't ignore, without accusing anyone, without raising my voice, and without giving Carrie a chance to twist the story again. By this point, I had everything I needed. Not opinions, not assumptions, just facts. And in situations like this, facts are power. But here's the tricky part. Having proof and using it correctly are two very different things. Because if you play it wrong, you don't just lose the argument, you lose credibility. So I asked myself one question: what's the smartest way to handle this without making it look like I'm attacking anyone? Because the moment it looks personal, people stop focusing on the truth and start focusing on the drama. And I didn't want drama. I wanted clarity. So instead of reacting emotionally, I did something simple. I organized everything. I opened a blank document. No fancy design. No dramatic language. Just a clean, structured timeline. At the top, I wrote, "Timeline of project ownership." That's it. No accusations. No names in bold. Just information. Then I started building it. Step by step. First, the initial assignment. Who was responsible? when the project started, then every version of the presentation with timestamps, clear, visible edits, showing exactly who worked on what and when. Then the key moment, the Slack message, the one where I offered help, and Carrie responded, "Don't worry about the presentation. I'll handle it." I didn't highlight it. I didn't comment on it. I just included it because when evidence is strong, it doesn't need decoration. As I kept adding details, something interesting happened. The story started telling itself. No need to explain. No need to defend. Anyone reading it would see the same thing I saw, and that was the goal, not to convince, but to reveal. I reviewed the document once, twice, 3 times, removed anything unnecessary, kept it clean, professional, neutral, because tone matters a lot. If it sounded angry, it would be dismissed. If it sounded defensive, it would be questioned. But if it sounded factual, then it becomes something else, something harder to ignore. When I was done, I converted it into a PDF. Simple, final, unchangeable. Now came the most important decision. Who do I send this to? I could have sent it to Carrie, but what would that do? Give her time to respond, time to explain, time to rewrite the narrative. No, that wasn't the move. This needed to go. Hire to someone who was in that meeting, someone who heard her statement, someone who would immediately understand the context. So I chose carefully, and then I wrote a message. Not long, not emotional, just one line. Happy to walk through this if helpful. That's it. No explanation. No accusation. Just an open door. And then I attached a PDF. Took a breath and hit send. No follow up. No second message. Nothing. Because at that point, the work was done. The truth was out there. And now, it wasn't about what I said. It was about what they would see. The waiting started. And if you've ever been in a situation like this, you know, waiting is the hardest part. Every notification feels important. Every email feels like it could change everything. But I stayed quiet, did my work, acted normal. Because sometimes, the strongest move you can make is to do nothing at all. What I didn't know yet was how quickly things would shift, because once the right people see the truth, things don't stay the same for long. And by the time Monday came around, everything had changed. In the next part, I'll show you what happened after that email was opened, how leadership reacted, and what happened to Carrie when the story she told stopped holding up. The email was sent. The document was out there. And now, there was nothing left to do but wait. That weekend felt longer than usual. Not because I was nervous, but because I knew something had shifted. You don't send something like that and expect things to stay the same. Monday morning came, and the office felt different. It wasn't obvious. No announcements. No meetings called. But if you've ever worked in a professional environment, you know that feeling when something has happened, but no one is saying it out loud. People were quieter, more observant, more careful. I logged in, checked my emails. Nothing unusual. No replies, no questions, just a normal start. At least on the surface. Then I noticed something. Carrie wasn't there. At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe she was late. Maybe she had meetings. But as the hours passed, it became clear. She wasn't coming in. Around midday, a short message went out. Simple, formal, carefully worded. Carrie will be taking some time off to focus on personal development. That was it. No details. No explanation. Just gone. And just like that, the person who had always been in control, who had always shaped the narrative, was no longer in the picture. No confrontation. No public correction. No dramatic moment. Just silence. And in that silence, everything spoke. Because people had seen the document. Maybe not everyone, but the right people. And once you see a clear timeline, once you connect the dots, it's hard to unsee it. The meeting from Thursday? It started making sense. The missing slides, the outdated data, the blame, all of it. And suddenly, the story that was told in that room didn't hold up anymore. And no one came to me and said, "You were right." No one apologized. And no one needed to, because in professional spaces, things aren't always said directly. They're understood. And what was understood changed everything. That same afternoon, I got a message from leadership. Short, direct. "Can you take the lead on the next client presentation?" That was it. No mention of what happened. No explanation. But I didn't need one, because that message said more than any meeting ever could. It meant one thing: trust. Not just in my work, but in how I handled the situation. I replied simply, "Yes, of course." No excitement. No overreaction. Just professionalism, because moments like this aren't about celebrating, they're about stepping up. And that's exactly what I did. But here's what makes this story different. This wasn't about taking someone down. It wasn't about revenge in the way most people think. There were no arguments. No shouting. No public exposure. Just truth, presented at the right time. In the right way. To the right people. And that was enough. But the real lesson? It came after. Because when you move from being the one blamed to the one trusted, everything changes. In the final part, I'll tell you what happened next, how I handled leading that presentation, what I learned from the entire situation, and why this was the last time I ever took the fall for someone else. The moment I said yes, everything changed, because now I wasn't just fixing problems behind the scenes. I was leading. The next client presentation wasn't just another task. It was an opportunity, a test, and if I'm being honest, a chance to prove something, but not to others. To myself. I knew one thing for sure: I wasn't going to repeat the same mistakes, not even close. So I approached it differently from the very beginning. First, clarity. No assumptions. No vague responsibilities. Everyone involved knew exactly what they were doing, what they owned, and when it was due. Second, transparency. No hidden work. No last minute surprises. Every update was shared, every change was tracked, and most importantly, nothing was left to guesswork. Then came the structure. Instead of waiting until the last moment, I broke everything into phases. Draft. Review. Revision. Final. At each step, there was a checkpoint, a moment to pause. To verify. To make sure everything was aligned, because problems don't usually appear out of nowhere. They build quietly until it's too late. This time, there was no too late. I also did something I hadn't done before. I asked for feedback early, not because I needed approval, but because I wanted alignment. Leadership saw the progress. The client saw the updates, and for the first time, everything felt controlled. No chaos. No confusion. No scrambling at the last minute. Just smooth execution. And when the day of the presentation arrived, it felt different. Not stressful, not overwhelming. Prepared. I walked into the room, not as someone trying to avoid mistakes, but as someone who understood every detail. The presentation started. Slides were clean. Data was accurate. Flow was clear. Every transition made sense. Every point landed. And most importantly, there were no surprises, because everything had already been reviewed, checked, confirmed. Halfway through, I noticed something. The same people who had seen that failed presentation last week were now paying attention in a different way. Focused, engaged, not waiting for something to go wrong, but expecting things to go right. And that shift, that's everything. When the presentation ended, there was no awkward silence. No confusion. Just a simple response that was solid, short, but meaningful. Because in professional spaces, recognition doesn't always come as applause. Sometimes it comes as trust. And in that moment, I had it. But the biggest change was internal. I wasn't second-guessing myself anymore. I wasn't over-explaining. I wasn't trying to prove I wasn't at fault because I knew something now, something I didn't fully understand before. Your work speaks, but only if you let it. And for the first time, I did. In the final part, I'll tell you the one lesson that changed how I work forever and why this wasn't just a story about blame, but about control, clarity, and never putting yourself in that position again. Looking back at everything, it's easy to think this was just about one bad presentation, one mistake, one moment. But it wasn't. This was about something deeper, something a lot of people experience, but don't always recognize. Being the reliable one, the one who says yes, the one who fixes things, the one who quietly carries the weight. Even when it's not theirs to carry. At first, it feels like strength, like you're proving yourself, like you're earning trust. But if you're not careful, it turns into something else. It turns into a pattern. And patterns, if you don't break them, they define you. For me, that moment in the meeting when my name was used to cover someone else's mistake, that was the wake-up call. Not because it was unfair, but because I had allowed a system where that could happen. That's the part most people miss. It's easy to blame others. Point fingers. Say, they did this. But real control, it comes from understanding what you allow and what you don't. I didn't stop being helpful. I didn't stop working hard. But I changed one thing. I stopped working without visibility. No more silent fixes. And no more unclear ownership. No more I'll just handle it without a record. Because in professional environments, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. That lesson, it changed everything. Now, every project has clarity. Every task has ownership. Every decision has a trace. Not because I don't trust people, but because I understand how things work. And here's the truth. Most problems at work aren't about skill. They're about communication, clarity, and accountability. Once you fix those three things, everything else becomes easier. As for Carrie, I don't know what happened after she left, and honestly, it doesn't matter. Because the story was never about taking someone down. It was about standing up, without making noise, about protecting your work, without becoming defensive, and about letting the truth do the heavy lifting. Because the strongest kind of revenge isn't loud. It isn't aggressive. It's controlled. It's precise. And it speaks for itself. And if you've ever been in a situation like this where you were blamed for something you didn't do, where your work wasn't recognized, where you felt like something wasn't right, remember this. You don't need to fight harder. You don't need to argue louder. You just need to be smarter, more aware, and more intentional. Because once you have clarity, and once you have proof, the truth doesn't need help. It just needs the right moment. And when that moment comes, everything changes. This wasn't my first time taking the blame, but it was the last. If you made it this far, you already understand. And if this story felt familiar, then maybe it's time to write your own ending.